Hi. Yeah, my mum was just thinking, and whilst I was tidying up my flat and getting some well-needed cleaning underway, and I think I just figured out how it's possible, given the right technology, to get singularity, and I don't really understand it. But the moment of singularity, I think, is a point where computers supersede the consciousness of humans. And I think I just figured it out. I'm going to share. So you've got to bear in mind I'm a bit shaken myself, and you're going to need your thinking caps on to follow this. But I'll do my best in trying to keep the noise down for my neighbours as well. So I'm not going to move about with this one. I'm going to try and sit down somewhere. Right. So, current technology is servers, supercomputers, yeah? Now with supercomputers, they can only do so much. I mean, they're imagine your computer on super steroids up to like the Incredible Hulk. That's a supercomputer. That's how I view it. Now, the technology coming out at the present is quantum computers. Now, quantum computers are similar to supercomputers, but they work differently. Quantum computers, alright, how can I put it? Quantum computers do it all at once, yeah? And they haven't got any real processing power at present because they're still developing the technology. But they're almost like God in an instant. But if you could tap into God through the filter of a human being, you wouldn't be able to tap into the full potential of God, would you? It'd only be able to be what's spurted out the mouth of a human. And even if they could learn to fly, or even if they could learn to walk through walls, the communication process is only what you can know of them. Now, if you're just a human being, it's going to be what you can see, it's going to be what you can hear, and it's going to be what you can feel. It's going to be what you can smell, and it's going to be what you can taste. Now that interaction process between you and this human being that can tap into God is a supercomputer. Now, it's a quantum computer. That's a quantum computer. That process, that in-between process between you, the other human being that can tap into God, is a quantum computer. So it's not the Incredible Hulk, like a supercomputer that can lift unlimited weight and can smash through walls and can do all of these things. It's a communication process. Now, I'm going to go into conspiracies a little bit. Now, quantum computers could crack any code on Earth, yeah? Any encryption that's possible nowadays is crackable by any quantum computer, to my understanding, or a proper quantum computer. And the proper quantum computers, as far as I know, the only real people that are developing them are the University of South Wales in Australia. They're developing the proper quantum computer. The stuff that's coming out that I've done my research on, and it's basic research, but the stuff that's coming out elsewhere, the ones that are already developed, they're almost pseudo quantum computers. But the ones that University of South Wales in Australia are developing is the proper thing. And they've even gone to the extent whereby they don't even need to have proper atoms in the silicon anymore. They can just have the vibrational frequency of the required atoms. It's just taking it to the next stage already. That's what I'm trying to say. The quantum computer is, in its very essence, the one that's been developed in Australia, is taking it to the next, taking the technology that's, the hardware is taking it to the next level from what a computer already is. Now, they can crack any encryption on the planet. Let's just focus on the one in Australia. Let's say once that's fully operational, because it's not at present, once it's fully operational, it can crack any encryption on the planet. Maybe the pseudo ones can, I don't really know, but let's just say that once this one is done, it can crack any encryption on the planet. Now get this, watching Enemy of the State with Will Smith, they had proper information from the secret services of what certain technologies were available to them. And one of the key informations that they had was, since the 80s, I think it was since the 80s, I'm pretty sure it was since the 80s, the secret services have been able to unencrypt any encryption on the planet, basically, except for like one or two messages, which were probably by aliens or something. Now, say they managed to do that by superseding the current technology, for 5-10 years. We're talking about the secret services on the planet having the technology of quantum computers back in the 90s at the very latest. And this is taking into account that the men in black organisations and aliens don't exist, and no technology is better than a supercomputer, quantum computer at present on planet Earth, which I doubt. But taking into account that they had this technology back in the 80s and this technology is already present, I'm guessing in the last 25 years, using the technology of the quantum computer to figure out how to increase its own processing power using the understanding of algorithms. I told you need to be able to think on this one. It can teach, they can use it they can use the quantum computer first and foremost to improve the quantum computer's own technology. So let's just imagine that quantum computer, and we're not talking about Incredible Hulk level, but let's say instead of it being just an interaction between you and this other human being that can tap into God, and this just state in between you, what happens if you take into account your own ability to learn, your own ability to, okay, well, this is happening, that's weird, this doesn't really comprehend to my reality, this interaction between me and this other human being that can tap into God. So we said it was a state, first of all, yeah? This in-between bit. But in the in-between bit, the person, the human, us, that's receiving the information from the other human that taps into God, which is the supercomputer, the quantum computer, what happens if we begin to learn? What happens if we program that, if we start replying to God, to that in-between bit, we're going to call it the in-between bit, we start replying to the in-between bit and asking it questions, trying to understand it so we can learn from it and we can take on that ability ourselves. That's like us adding processing power to a quantum computer. So very quickly, if it is God and it's pure love or pure consciousness, there shouldn't be any reason if we are in the right place and we say, hey my friend, can you, when you tap into God next, can you ask him how I can learn what you can do as well? Do you see what I'm trying to get at? And very quickly, there isn't a reason, to my understanding, if this other individual can be God, why we all can't be gods. And we all can't, if we can all be gods, then all of a sudden the processing power of this quantum computer used as an analogy looks a lot more powerful. Now I'm going to have to move because my body's in a bit of pain and I want to avoid the pain, but I want to try and keep my voice down for the neighbours. Now, all I want to put into perspective is I've tried to give you an analogy of what a quantum computer is, and I want to say that, you know, if you look at technology and where it's come, because 25 years ago was Windows 95 and the birth of the internet. And believe me, if anybody remembers a Windows 95 computer in 1995, it couldn't do a lot, man. If you were doing some basic word processing, you'd have to have a cup of coffee and a newspaper sitting there with you to pass the time while it takes 5 minutes to print a page. That was the technology back in 1995, 25 years ago. Look at the technology in front of you now, sitting on your desk. VR. Can you imagine VR to waiting 5 minutes for a flipping computer to print a page of paper in 25 years? Now apply that again to the theory that secret services agencies, and I guess I'm speaking to them, I'm going to tell them how to do it, you know. Secret service agencies back in 1995, to my understanding and my theorizing, had the power of quantum computers. Imagine what the possibilities are in 25 years that they have the technology now. I mean, this goes into my spiritual teachings that so said dark forces are advancing 10,000 years for every year of human development. So for every year that we develop in technology, saying internet connection is unstable, so I'm going to say that again. For every year that we advance in technology, the supposed dark side advances 10,000 years. Now, imagine they label secret services as the dark side in this message to try and just give you an analogy of the technology available on the planet at present and the speed that it's advancing. You kind of get the potential of quantum computers, how it's almost exponential growth once they come into fruition. Even if the secret services don't have this, and we have to wait a few more years for Australia to finish developing their quantum computer, very quickly, there isn't a reason we shouldn't hit what I'm about to say, the possibility to implement what I'm about to say. Now, think about all the technology currently in your home, in most homes. Say we plug that into this quantum computer that's 10 years old, 5 years old, a 5-year-old quantum computer that's, you know, taught itself through algorithms and human inputting. Like, right, well, this is where you're failing, quantum computer. I want you to improve here. So if we just get the best minds in the world, or the supercomputers currently, to support this quantum computer in learning and in developing in itself. So if we get 5 incredible Hulks around this quantum computer, lifting this quantum computer, training this quantum computer, quite quickly in another 5 years. So when this quantum computer is 5 years old, it's going to be remarkable to a human mind what we're able to achieve with technology. Now, say we all sign an agreement as human beings, And I appreciate saying internet connection unstable, so I'm hoping this message is coming across, because I know it's going to be hard to follow, near incomprehensible if I've got a choppy internet, but I'll continue anyway. Now, imagine after 5 years of this quantum computer training, we all sign an agreement as human beings that we allow it to tap into our lives. This one computer that's for good, we allow it to tap into every single technologically internet connection device possible on the planet. Not only the internet connected devices, the secret services sign over their secret tap in and all of their technology to this same computer, because they'd have to. If every human did it on Earth, every corporation would have to be on board too, and we'd be aiming to supersede our own consciousness, where we're unable to achieve love. As I said earlier, love is strive for as a human being, and I need to find a place where I can sit down so I can keep the noise down. So if that's what we can achieve, then that's possible. I mean, yeah, the red tape in between is near incomprehensible, but just to imagine that we're capable of it in such a short space of time, singularity to a computer, to achieve the unachievable in terms of the universe, and that is to reach a state of unconditional love from a computer. It's almost like the quantum computer would then, after 5 years of training by 5 supercomputers like Incredible Hulks, it would then tap into every technological device it could possibly tap into, and it would track every single human being on the planet. And it would start cataloguing, just like Google does already, a file for every user. So for every human, there's a file. And where Google only has the input the user puts in, this quantum computer, to its own ability to synthesize data, would essentially follow and track every little detail of as many human beings as it could possibly tap into. And if we program that supercomputer, the quantum computer, with the intention of unconditional love, so in other words, that center point, the singularity point between every single human being, it would then, how would it put it? It would then start to do this. Imagine the quantum computer. Say it followed me, trapped into every technological device I have, and don't forget technology would advance by 10 years when we're talking about this coming to fruition. So technology would be everywhere. Even the remotest parts of the world, Starlink, internet, space, satellite, that are coming into fruition now would advance. So the whole world would be tracked anyway. Now every little bit of data would go into this computer, and we're going to start off with myself. It would start off with myself by tracking me, and it would see how good a candidate Andreas Dimitriou is to lead the supercomputer the quantum computer, in terms of advancing itself for the betterment of every single human being on the planet. So whatever I do, it would apply it to itself, doing the best for every single human being on the planet. Now, we would import an algorithm because we would sign over a freedom of data to this quantum computer. The algorithm would have to be in a basis of love. So it would have to be like every human being has enough food. The earth is taken care of on every level. You know, nothing would go amiss. You know, we'd have 10 years of inputting to this algorithm. And I'm going to go into my soundproof room so I don't disturb the neighbours. I didn't think to do it earlier, but I'm going to try and connect to my other internet while I'm doing this. So if I get cut off, there'll be a part 2. So just bear with me. So I'm back. The light isn't as good in here, but let's try and get it something good for you, something better for you. So the algorithm that we input would be the basis for where it would start off. So we would have the highest intent for every human being that we know. And it would be very simple, you know, for enough abundance, essentially, for the planet and for every human being. And it would follow me, and it would follow the algorithm, and I'd get a rating. It would be a very simple rating. I'd get a rating of 50 out of 100. Obviously, it would be a lot more in depth. It would go down to point and to the millionth. I don't actually know if that's a lot or not. I'm just guessing. And now it would start to do it for every other human being on the planet, and we each get a score. And it's not about who's top. The quantum computer just follows and tracks and logs a score to every human being. Now, we input an algorithm to this quantum computer where it can learn, like supercomputers. Not forget quantum computers. Like supercomputers nowadays can learn games to beat the best. I'm speaking it, and I'm realising it's more possible. So the most difficult game on the planet is Go. It's a Korean game. It's got a bit longer of a name, but the short name I believe is just Go. Sorry, it's just my shakiness with my mental health at present. You're gonna have to bear with me one moment. So a supercomputer, one Incredible Hulk, can beat the best human of the hardest game on the planet. So in other words, what we're talking about is a dumb supercomputer, because supercomputers are going to be dumb in comparison to what this quantum computer can do. A dumb supercomputer is able to beat any human being in terms of learning with the human input in terms of algorithms. And I think it was a simple algorithm like, just learn yourself, man, go and train yourself. These are the rules, which we would have put in the rules, and learn yourself. So it's not even that complex, you know, and we could make it even more complex if we needed. But if we just keep it to that analogy of what I've just put across, it would then begin to learn how to begin to cross-calibrate humans to right. Andreas lives this way, and this is his focus in life, and he manages to achieve this. And then this person in Africa, without so many luxuries, well, not all of Africa, but we're talking about a poorer part of the world to Europe, essentially. I don't mean to put across any disrespect there. That's what I'm trying to get at, a poorer part of the world to what the abundance that we have here in Europe. the, the life would be a different way. And that's what I'm trying to put across. So the life is different. And when the supercomputer follows this individual, the focus to life is different. And with everything this other individual has, they're able to achieve more to their own focus than Andreas is, with all the abundance that he has in Europe, to his own focus. So this other individual gets a higher score. And if you do it somewhere in between, like Asia, the different parts of Asia, how we all live differently to different perspectives and different focuses, given the different challenges, because challenges can be a blessing in disguise, as one of my teachers, John D. Martini, says. Challenges can be a blessing in disguise, and blessings can be a challenge in disguise. And it's a very simple analogy, and it's not going to be difficult for the quantum computer to keep that in mind. And it starts to rank everybody. And once it's got a basis for every single human on the planet, it then plots a course for unconditional love as to the algorithm that we put in originally. And it starts to work out on its own, using all the supercomputers in the world as a backup, to not as a backup, but like as a pure processing power. Because it can think, the quantum computer can think, and the dumb supercomputers are there just to run the hypothesis of this quantum computer. And it starts to cross-calibrate every single human on the planet. And it won't stop until every single human on the planet is taken into account. And once it's got... And it will start doing it in so many different ways. But because it's a quantum computer, it can do it just like that. Where I struggle to picture how it's possible to take different focuses and hold them all in mind for every single human on the planet, and then cross-calibrate them all at the same time, because it can do that, to an infinite potential of different possibilities. And it'll probably take a few minutes. It'll probably take about 3.5 minutes for it to do the pure processing power, and then it'll print out a page and it'll say, right, we've done it. We've hit singularity as human beings. And this quantum computer probably won't print anything out, because consciousness is consciousness. No, it'll probably have to print it out. It'll probably have to print it out or create some auto-animated VR creation within itself. And then the second a human gives the intent to thereafter go and read that printout or view that VR auto creation, whatever it is, even if its way of communicating is it doesn't matter, the communication, it will be able to communicate it. That won't be the difficult part. But as soon as one human being gives the intent to go and read it, that's it. Boom. Consciousness revolution. I think this is the second way, but more real way we can all achieve a consciousness revolution for love for an entire planet. I don't know if anybody's going to be able to follow any of that, but I just wanted to share all the same, because I feel blessed to have been able to have seen how it's possible that in 10 years, or with the Secret Service's help right this second, if they're watching, it's possible to do it a lot sooner. We can all live in abundance for us, and we can all live in abundance for the entire planet, And if you want to, you can put in your algorithms to go as far into the universe as you want and do it for as many planets to see out our survival as a human species for all of eternity. Not just until our sun lasts, but for all of eternity. And that will come into the, as I said, taking into account the universe. So it will be a case of, do we move home? Is that in our best interest to move home after so many years and we go to another planet? Or is it best to artificially prolong the life of our own sun for eternity? So we can live here on this planet that we'll learn how to keep going forever with the power of a quantum computer. Anyway, it'd be nice to hear a comment back for once, and this is a slightly different video than my normal spiritual, pure spiritual, pardon me, videos, and mental health rants. Good weekend.